we decided to do a farm update and kind of an introduction to what we have this year. This is the only field we had last year that we managed to get in. We had tomatoes, peppers, sweet potatoes, onions, all planted in here. This year it's just bronze corn, which is a flower corn, and some squash. We got blue Hubbard, which gets pretty big, and acorn, both queen and king, and pink banana jumbo squash, which is supposed to get really huge. I put some fencing around. We're going to try the whole fishing line theory to keep deer out. But this was all one garden last year, and now it's just a portion. Seriously need to weed it. If you look over there, we have 6 trees, 3 apricots, one of which was transplanted, and 3 apples, 2 frostbites, and a yellow transparent. So we're hoping to extend that orchard. We've got some other apple trees to transplant from a couple years ago. They're currently where a greenhouse is going up, but they will all run that way, which is west. And way down there towards the end of the trees at the edge of the property, we're going to put in maples and start coming this way so that we can tap them in about 10 years for sap for maple syrup. And this is all what we've put in this year, along with the fruit trees. This one here is 40 by 120 feet when I measured it. We have 5 different kinds, or was it 6 different kinds of potatoes. This whole first row of raised beds is called Purple Majesty. It's really cool. It makes awesome hash browns. It's dark purple on the outside and like a marbled white and purple on the inside. But then we have russets, Idahos. I mean, they were free, so we planted them. Why not? Kennebec whites and Pontiac reds, because my husband loves Pontiac reds. And we try to plant flowers in here too. I had to pull a bunch of potato bugs off, but we don't use chemicals, so it's pretty much just taking some dish soap in a bucket, picking them all off, and all the leaves with eggs, and throwing them in there and getting rid of them. And they're looking all better today. Down here we got drip lines this year, which helped a lot. They're almost always on for the tomatoes though. All the tomatoes we plant from our own seed. The first few fruits of the season we cut open. Normally we make tacos or something, maybe spaghetti sauce, but we save all the seeds from those first few fruits to plant for the next year or the year after that if we still got leftover seed from previous year, to keep our seed fresh. The only thing we had a crop failure on last year was our Cherokee Purple, and we did not have Brandywine. This year I got them from my mom, who owns a nursery, Rhodes Garden Center, and she plants those from seed. She orders them, but they're usually chemical free. We are very careful about that. We don't like GMO stuff. And down here we have candy corn, sweet corn. I don't believe it has any chemicals in it. I'm really hoping not. It didn't say there was any, but we planted a bunch of it, so we're hoping that we can sell some this year. We're going to put up a farm stand. Now here in this mowed area is all going to be more garden. It started raining just when my husband was trying to till up some of it, so we had to stop. Soaked pretty good for a few minutes, so it's a little wet. But we're going to be putting in rhubarb, asparagus, raspberries, which were free because my mom's kind of went everywhere in her garden, so she just let me steal a bunch. And I will happily steal a bunch and let them spread. On the other side of those is going to be more garden. Carrots, peppers, onions we got to get in yet. And I'd like to plant some more sweet corn. Peaches and cream, I believe it was. It's a 71-day sweet corn. It's a bicolor, looks really pretty, tastes really good. And then next year, everything that's currently planted in this 40 by 120 will slowly migrate also to asparagus, raspberries, strawberries, and rhubarb. We'll migrate it this way as everything spreads. And then all this will be permanent. The flower corn will turn into our permanent herb garden because my lovage, peppermint, thyme, summer savory all keeps coming back every year. So I will work on putting that over there. And we will have a herb garden, move it out of the shade where it's not really flourishing where it's at. And behind here we trim these trees, and we got our blueberries in. We bought them last year, and all but one survived the winter in the buckets beneath a pile of leaves, which was pretty amazing. So I just got finished with these. We put them in raised beds as well to encourage the root development to go down into the ground farther. So there's less chance of us losing the plants if the base of it is farther down. Some of them towards the ends might not make the winter, but hey, they survived in a bucket, so I'm hoping it's pretty good. I do have some empty space here for some more. My mom's currently having a sale at her greenhouse, but she's got 2 varieties left, and I already have those kind. So I'd rather either get some wild ones or see if I can find a variety I don't have and then add them next year. So I gotta pull all the tags yet and mark where I have them on a little map, so that way I have that information for the future. They have a second tag in with them. And then if you look up here, we started a greenhouse last year. There's a USDA grant with the NCR where they will give you a certain amount to become part of a research program. Once you get the greenhouse up and fully complete, then they give you the grant money. And they pay a portion of it, not the entire thing. But you become, for 5 years, at least that's how it is last time they informed us, and you just tell them what you planted, what you got, whether you used chemicals or manure of some sort on there. And a lot of people have a variety of things. There's one guy who has cherry trees, there's someone who does strawberries, and after 5 years, it's yours, free clear. You don't have to report to them anymore. You don't have to pay back the money. So it's something we have to have done before September. But we got the frame up last fall, and we're getting the ends in. We found out we couldn't put up the roll-up sides. It twists when we try getting the upper boards on for the tops where they start, right where they curve there halfway up. And yeah, so we have to get these ends up first. It's, I believe, 2,100 square feet. It's 74, I think, or 72 by 34 or 32. It's big. I think it's 2160 or 2100, but it covers some good one. But if you look, you can see a couple trees growing in the center of it. That's where we had our apple trees initially, and we found out the deer were bedding down in the little edge there between that and the highway. So we figured it was probably a good thing if we moved them. We lost most of the trees, but I think we have 6 or 7 apple trees that survived. Thankfully a Honeycrisp, because that's our state apple, and my grandmother loves them. And we'd like to plant a bunch of those. And our 2 pear trees made it, and our crab apple trees, which will stay there because they're not in the greenhouse and they're not behind it, so it won't be a big deal. Plus my uncle has some crab apple trees planted over there, so they cross-pollinate really well. We did plant some double flowering plums, trying to encourage more natural bees and insects in the area, beneficial ones. We do want to try bees again. We lost them because of sugar ant infestation. None of the books I read had anything on those, and then I found out that it was just a bad year for that. A lot of beekeepers had an issue with it that year. And I do have the equipment yet, and I want to try it again, but I'm going to go for like 2 or 3 hives at once. That way I can just if one fails, I can kind of combine one and hope for another queen, or buy a queen and try and recover it. But we have a nice sunset over here, and all this needs to be baled, but the tractor is currently down, which is one reason we've been tilling this all with our new tiller, because our Franken tiller died. It was a combination of 7 different tillers, and yeah, the small engine's still going on it, but the wheels are all horrible and it needs to tune up. And thankfully, over Memorial Weekend, they had sales, so we got it for a really good price. And so we can till up the rest of what we need to plant, and then hopefully we can fix the truck and the snowplow and get those going. Because the snowplow, when we drop off the plow, we use that as our farm truck, and we kind of bebop over the hills over here and pick up the bales as we go around. And obviously I need to buy some more U-posts here. So over there I have them spaced about, I don't know, maybe 4 feet apart, which seems about good for the fishing line. But I didn't want to put it up yet until I have that section tilled and planted. And so I need more U-posts, maybe about 30 more, because then I also put some in the tomato beds. And then I'm going to run some hemp line across it to kind of, and tie it around each one for each bed of tomatoes. And then I have string to tie from that to go down, and tomato trellis clamps. They go around the stem of the tomato and then holds it to that string so it stays up and grows upwards instead of laying over in the dirt, and you have less blight, less bugs. It helps a lot, and it makes it a little stronger if the wind comes, so it's not breaking off. We didn't really have a big issue with that, but we did end up with our own tomato. We had a Sun Sugar and a black vernissage crossbreed on us 2 years ago, and it bred true last year. It kind of tastes like a watermelon, but it looks kind of orangey red with coppery watermelon stripes, and it's about the size of the black vernissage. And so we just call it a Sun Sugar vernissage, or the Roland tomato. But it bred true, and it still tastes slightly like watermelon. So we're hoping that all the ones I overplanted on those heavily, but we're hoping with all those that someone else will like them and they'll become a marketable item for our farm here. We're hoping maybe eventually here there's kind of a little nook that would be really nice to build an actual farm stand house type thing, just strictly for the farm to sell stuff. Put a little fridge in there and a little coolers for like salads and eggs, because we sell farm fresh eggs as well. My aunt does too. Finding a lot of flowers this year. Got all the purple clovers are growing real good. We get a yellow flower in the fall that I haven't quite identified yet, and I'll have to take a film there then. But when I find out what it is, it's a nice thing for the pollinators. We've seen a lot of yellow swallowtails. Not many monarchs, I have to say. Normally I see a lot of them, but maybe they're not quite out yet. We let the milkweed kind of just go to town up by the edges of the trees. So I guess, was it Monarch Watch or something? There's one where you can register your monarch sanctuary, and we've been wanting to do that. But we haven't gotten a chance to do that. And we have a lot of wild daisies. I think that's what they are. I have chamomile going wild in my garden, but that's way on the other side of the property. What I really wanted to show you was kind of a close-up of how big this greenhouse is, because it is pretty big. We've been replanting all pines just because there's a couple that were dead, so we replaced them with other things. And we transplanted our forsythia, which is gets golden leaves and some pale gold flowers in the spring, which is awesome. In the fall it's got the yellow leaves, but I think I'm going to have to water him tomorrow. But just the sheer size of this is pretty awesome. It's really tall. My camera does more of a zoom in than I would like. There's no way to zoom it out any further. Might have to get a GoPro, but what we need to do is take these posts back down now that we know where they sit after we measure them, cut them so they're all the same, and then concrete the bottoms in, and that will help. And then we gotta kind of mow the greenhouse and till it up and all that fun stuff before we can plant it. But I believe the two apple trees inside are Wodarz, W-O-D-A-R-Z. Those are the only two inside the greenhouse space that survived, but I don't really want anything on the north side because it's way too shady, personally. But I guess there's a Honeycrisp on the edge and the outside, and I think Red Duchess and, what was the other one? Norland, I think? And they mowed over my cranberry bushes again. So I don't know if they've survived or not. We'll find out if anything comes back soon. Otherwise, I'll just have to get a few more plants from my mom and plant them somewhere else. This is a pear tree next to our wood. I think that's the pollinator. nope, that's the good one of the pollinators on the other side of this kind of dying oak. There's some kind of oak disease that's been going around in a lot of the trees here, so we've been just eliminating them as we find them. This one needs to come down yet. Yeah, we really need them all. Otherwise, that is our update for June and kind of our little farm tour, and I hope you check us back for more and look for us on YouTube and Facebook. Our website is currently down. I'm changing hosts. Not satisfied with the one I was at now, so you have to wait so many months before it releases it to another host. You can buy it through another one to buy the domain name, so it will be a little bit yet. But then I will have my blog updates and maybe do a rescour and redo of some of the recipes. I'd like to start doing some online videos for the recipes. I've had a couple requests for a couple of them, but I just don't have good lighting in my kitchen right now. It's not the best with this camera. So, but you guys have fun, my peeps, and have fun, my lovelies. Later.